Oh, goodness, goodness, goodness. Things, things. Okay. I needed. I needed Twitter so I can post a link. Yes, please. And I need this. So, doot. Come on. Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you very much. And I just now need to grab that and post it over and post. Okay. Okay. I think, perhaps. And I need to kill Discord so it doesn't bing me to death. Quit Discord currently. Okay. I think we're good. So we're just going to give it a minute or two to populate with people, which I'm going to be curious to see. I mean, it is 10 a.m. on a Tuesday on the West Coast. I mean, I do these early day ones for uh, my across the pond friends, the Europeans who might care to be entertained, and then people who are trickling in at work because they can get away with it. So we're just gonna give it a minute or two for people to be informed and possibly pop in before we get started with the normal go. If we only get like 5 or 6 people here, then that's probably gonna be a very short live chat today. Um, yeah, very personal, as my editor says. It also does mean that your chances of being one of the people who get loot are really good. Let's be honest. So, uh, and I think everybody who is here has commented in chat. So, okay. So, well, don't remind me. This is apparently a small personal live chat going on since there are so few people here. Um, the of course we do have the updates of things of books and stuff coming up in the lower left hand corner to help people who always ask the same questions. Douglas MacArthur, Rob, well done. Well, see now, because there we go. See, we're jumping now. We have 14 people. People were just waiting for the posts and links, which is why I was holding off on the recap of things until we got everyone in. Now that we have it like at least a small normal live chat, I don't feel so bad about starting. Hey, Sherf, glad you could make it. So as always, folks, remember your comments and questions will help keep this thing going. So please feel free to start populating, so I have things to talk about when I am done with my recap of what is new and exciting and what has come out and such. We've made it to December, the month of thanks. 2022 being, of course, basically a rehash of 2020 and 2021. Hopefully, 2023 is a better year. We will find out soon, honestly, considering that we're already halfway through November. Um, so let's go ahead and hit the recap since we have a decent number of people in already. Um, the last book out, of course, was Accord, Binding Words, Book 9. Um, did what I expect a Binding Words book to do. Solid. It's nice to see that people are still really enjoying the story. Um, I always get worried. Doesn't matter how well a series does. I get worried every time I publish a book. Imposter syndrome is real for 90% of creatives, if not more. It seems like because every author I know is like, "Ooh, gods, I'm pushing the button again." Um, so it's nice and when that kind of thing happens. Of course, next, my shirt might be a hint about the next series to be published. It might be a Aether's Revival. Of course, you can see down there that our current timeline has moved up to November 28th. So rejoice and be happy for that. In fact, actually, I should go over here. I think. I don't know. Let's find out. Can I edit the scene while we're using it? I mean, that seems highly like a bad idea. That seems like a terrible thing to do. We're going to find out, though. Whoop. No, back up. Thank you. Stop. Save. Don't break things. Yeah, there we go. Everything moves up a little bit. So, for those people who are waiting, we have moved Aether's Revival from our last live chat where it said December 17th. We're now projecting a November 28th release. So, just after Thanksgiving. If things go like really, really good, I might be able to push it even closer to Thanksgiving. Because I know we could all use something to ignore Uncle Bob when he's deciding that he wants to riff on religion and politics, and you're trying not to engage in what you know is going to be the dumpster fire of conversations. So maybe earlier than the 28th. Can't say exactly. Oh, show off the new tattoos. Kind of hard to do. I'll have to stand up and actually move a little bit because I mean it's on the wrist. So I do have the sharing is caring from Team Asshole that has completed the inside forearm of the one, and then I got to gimp my arm up. I don't know. I have to wait because the camera is bad. I have binding words on the other wrist. In fact, I'm just gonna sit down and then hold it upside down for you guys. So we do have binding words on the other wrist. Aether's Revival Shield is gonna go here when I get it done in early December. So in the next live chat, I should have at least the start of the Aether's Guard shield on my arm. I'll at least be getting the outline and the flame colored in. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get all the black done at the same time or if I'll have to go in for a second session to get that done. That's gonna be a lot of cutting. No, I'll probably just use the logo for Lux Voice. I'll probably use Lux Holdings. That's fine. You could totally get hats. I try to stay mostly with the logos if I can. Aether's Apocalypse Gates never really had a logo. It had the Mustang, which was kind of classic throughout the entire thing, but it didn't have a set icon for it. Sharing is Caring, of course, was throughout the entire series, and Team Asshole was kind of throughout the entire series, so I decided to go with that instead. Otherwise, I'll use what I consider the logos for each of the series going forward. One Antecedent's Legacy is going to be a little different because I have made challenge coins for that, and I have them, and I like them. However, the shirts are probably going to have a different saying than what's on the coins, which is a twist for me. Because one of my girlfriends came up with a funny thing, and I'm like, oh my god, I really like that. I'd much rather use that on the shirt. So, hopefully that will work out. I am waiting on shirts though, guys. For those people who are wondering, on Antecedent's Legacy, until after the first book is out, and I wonder I could find out if you actually all enjoy the series or if I have another Resurrection quest on my hands. My editors have said they really enjoyed the series. My alpha readers said they really enjoyed it. So I have hope, but at the same time, I still have the fear because I've had the low. I know what that looks like. That I'm just a little worried that it might, dip on me again. So we will find out. Um, and then, of course, you can see on there, Binding Words 8 is currently in proofing. I am currently listening, well, I mean, not right now, I'm talking to you guys, but I am currently listening to the audio files from Andy to catch any things that I think need to be cleaned up or fixed or tweaked. I will probably have that done in a day or two by the end of the week at the latest, and then I will give that back to her. She will do the corrections within a day or so, and then we will turn it over to ACX, which their current turnaround has been fairly quick. Like 2 weeks or less quick. So if things go well, we might see the very end of November, early December for Binding Words 8 audio. Now, she is also, as you can see, they're recording now. I'm literally recording now. She's over on her Discord doing AR5. She's, I think, at least halfway through the book currently, recording wise. So, like, early next week, she'll be done with AR, and then that'll go to her proofer for about a week, and then it'll come to me to listen to it, and so on. And as soon as she's done with AR5, she rolls into LV5, as you can see there. And then she'll roll into Binding Words 9, and then she should end the year. We hope to get it all in, because at that point AR6 will be out. We hope to be able to slide AR6 in for audio as well. So she will catch up every single thing done by the end of the year, because January she's on the wandering in for a month, and we know we're going to lose that. But we're hoping we get it all rolled through, and it'll be amazing. So hold out hope, folks. It looks like things might work out. We will get caught fully back up on audio. For all of you people who are audio only because you're truck drivers, you're dyslexic. For all you people who only do audio. In one case, I have a guy who's legally blind who listens to the audiobooks. For all of you who need the audiobooks, it looks like we're gonna clear through the backlog. We're gonna get it all up. Currently, there is hope. So something to look forward to. I think that covers all the bookie stuff of, hey, this is what's really important. Let's talk about it. And see, now there are 28 people here. It feels so much better than the 5 like when I first started, and I'm like, oh my god, did I make a mistake for doing a 10 a.m. stream on a Tuesday? So I do want to thank everyone for staying with me. Next month is going to be a bit of a weird one because the 15th I actually have a dental appointment. So I actually might push that one off until the 16th, which is a Friday, and then maybe I'll do like a late Friday stream for that one instead. I'm not positive yet, but I really don't think a stream on the same day I have a dental appointment is gonna be what I do. Just so you're all aware now. I'm not sure I want to do that. So let's go ahead and start getting caught up on your guys' comments and questions, because I think that will be something to entertain all of us for a bit. We can ask random questions that have nothing to do with your books to make it go longer. I mean, you are a cat. I would expect nothing less, Cernia. I thought AL was coming out January 30th. Yeah, it was the old, like I said, I have probably since updated it on Discord and Facebook. That was still the old dates that were added since the last live chat, Darth. So, I mean, that's probably why. Let's see. Hey, I was just all excited and wanted to chat with you. No problem, Xerox. Thanks for coming in. Weather here is not what I think about when I think Vegas. What are you doing to cause it? I mean, nothing. I mean, it's quote unquote winter in Vegas, which means it should be what, like in the 60s over in Vegas today? I'm actually curious. Let me find out real quick. Vegas weather. Uh, it looks like the high is going to be low 60s, 64. I mean, that's winter. That's winter weather in Vegas. I mean, if you were up early when it was like high 30s during the evening because the desert does get cold at night, especially during the winter. So, but I can see that if you're in Vegas for 20 books, because I know there are some, yeah, you might be surprised what November can be like. By November, we've normally fully slid into the late fall, early winter stage. September and early October, we kind of get a little psychotic with our weather. 80s one week and then 55 the next. So, I mean, it does get a little strange in that time. But in November, we're normally fully seeded into the yeah, we're sliding into cold weather. Cold, of course, being a relative term. I know this is like summer weather for some people who live like on Hoth or Alaska, as it's called by others. Let's see. I'm finally out of the dead internet area. Well, that's good, Joe. I mean, I couldn't do my work without internet, honestly, because I have to upload things and I need to search things. So 20 books can be interesting. I mean, it's mostly an authors convention, authors, publishers. It's a networking convention, from what I understand. So you can learn the ins and to help newer people learn the in the words are hard, folks. Learn the ins and outs of like what it's like. Um, I've never been. Um, by the time I realized there was such a thing called 20, I think it's the full thing is 20 books to 50K is I think the full title of the group and convention. By the time I realized what was going on, I was already fairly well established. So I myself don't go because I'm not a publisher. I'm not trying to find new authors to rope into signing with a company and stuff. And I don't feel like I would give really good advice for like newer authors looking to establish themselves because honestly, I'm just me. I don't have like a formula set plan that helped me get to where I am. So I would be fairly shit for advice, honestly. More importantly, how are you feeling about the massive amounts of appearances at Guildlit Con this year? Um, I mean, it was okay. Different. I mean, because it's not just me talking to a camera. There's in some cases upwards of like six of us all trying to share like an hour's time block and talking over each other a lot. Um, but I like giving back to the fans in some way, shape, or form. So I liked doing it enough to just try to find some way to engage people more. I did it the first year they did it. I'm sure I'll do it again next year if they ask me back. Because I don't throw myself out there. I normally get a hey, would you like to? Yeah, sure, I would love to. In Aether's book 2 and 3, who is taking care of Jin's house besides Dia's sister and the kids? No one. Bayless and the kids are the ones who were there. Bayless was set to take care of, basically to be the caretaker of the home while he was busy, and then later, there was suddenly a mass of kids that were staying there as well. But there's nobody else mentioned as taking care of the house besides them. It's a weird question, honestly, Darth. I wonder why you were asking such. What? Hmm. Hey, Shadow, I'm doing pretty good. I can't deny that I'm doing good. Write a You write a book, it should sell 1 million copies. I mean, that would be nice, Xerox. I mean, I won't lie. Probably will never happen in my lifetime, though. I write in a genre. I mean, I write in harem. I write in the dirty, filthy harem genre. It is not exactly mainstream, so it will never sell that many copies. November 28th is still not enough. We want it earlier. I mean, well, sure, sir, sure. I'm sure everyone would like things earlier. Well, in some cases, it would be nice if you could hold out longer, I'm sure, but gotta give us time to work and make things as good as possible. Yeah, see, Sammy says so. You can't push things faster than the editors do it. And if you try to push my editors and break them, I will be very upset. Which is why we set a nice steady pace and don't try to do something stupid like publish a book every week or month. This way I don't burn myself out. My editors don't burn out because really I don't want to work with other editors. Speaking of imposter syndrome, I am feeling it I am feeling it to some degree here at 20 books since I am not published and still trying to write. I mean, but yeah, that's part of what that convention is for. Yeah. You. Sorry. Every time I see that name, I get a little rubber shark mitt in my head. You. Um, but that's part of what that convention is for, to help, like I said, people who are looking to come up and stuff understand how processes work. So that's not a place where you have to worry as much about imposter syndrome because they understand there are people like you there, and that is what they're there for. And depending on whether or not you have enough of a pitch for your book and people ask you about it and stuff, one of the publishing companies there might take an interest as well. Next year, this year of course wasn't going to happen. Next year, I will actually see about like setting up like maybe like a meet and greet during the convention. I'm not part of of that convention, so I wouldn't go be officially a part of it. But I could see about going down into Vegas for a couple of hours to meet up with people who would like to meet up. That's because it's not far from my house, honestly, and I already set up to go down there to do dinner with friends who come in for the convention. But next year I'll see about like going down earlier before dinner and setting up a small meet and greet for people who actually want to meet me. As weird as that is to me, I don't understand why people would want to meet me. I still have a still have a heart. It's the beard, possibly. I can see the beard being the reason. I can accept that. As you can see, the Eagle Garfield has made his way back. Xerox, you are no longer safe. Um, I am the only nerd in my family, so it's insufferable to hang out around them. See, Angel, that's why I'm like, if it's possible, I'll see about trying to push it closer. Um, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to at the moment, but if I can, I'll see about trying to push it out um, on or around Thanksgiving to maybe give some respite. I think it's respite to those people who will need something to hide behind. So if people, try to talk to you, you can show them your Kindle and be like, reading, leave me alone. And if they ask what, you can tell them that you're reading dirty, filthy harem books because you'd much rather have that than talk to them. I'm sure that would be a safer conversation than some of the things that'll be brought up during Thanksgiving anyway. So I guess you have to be careful about starting new series, lest you run out of room upon your body. I mean, I'm a fairly large guy, Rob. I'm fairly certain I'm going to have plenty of space. Especially since most of my series seems to run into the 8 book range. Dungeon Walkers, of course, being a knot. Maybe Last Horizons, which was 2 books. Dungeon Walkers, which will end at 4. A Resurrection Quest that only lasted 1. And then I had Alpha World 8, Apocalypse Gates 8, and currently Binding Words as well is over 8, and Aethers is definitely going to run over 8. Lux Voice is already over 4 books, so it could end up in either space. We're not sure yet. So I'm fairly confident that I'm not going to run out of space anytime soon. Honestly, especially since like Resurrection Quest is going to go down on my calf probably. So and Serenia and Sammy have already started editing um, Antecedents Legacy, so they have more of an idea of how the storyline is going there. So I do know that Serenia was very very happy with book 1, and I think she actually asked me for if I had anything written for book 2 already. So I mean that was nice. That's always a nice little jolt of somebody likes it. I forgot today was the day. Woo for push notifications, right, Paul? I mean that's why we try to get those out there and let people know when we start up. So, those people who are like, I think it's today, maybe it's tomorrow. If you have those notifications, like especially on Discord, since we use the at live chat. So if you're clicked on for the live chat, quote unquote, group, you'll get that ping on Discord at least. Uh, Something more to be thankful for in November, right? Too tall. Sorry, Too tall. Every time I see that name, I still want to be like total. I know it's too tall, but every too tall. Hmm. I mean, but my brain wants to just crunch it down to total. He's the total trucker. You need something done, total trucker gets it done. Just I don't know why my brain does that, and then I have to auto go back. My brain auto resets it back. That's too tall, dude. You know him. You've met him. You've talked to him. Get it right. Okay. Oh, well, I mean, if you have more beard, it's automatically more glorious, to be honest. So I'm not surprised that the 46-inch TV, it makes the beard look better than a 15-inch laptop screen. Um, the rest of my face probably doesn't translate as well, though. Let's be honest. But I mean, at least the beard's there to help, make things better. Uh, what'll be the next book in rotation after AL? It'll be Dungeon Walkers 4. I'm currently writing that one. AL was written earlier in the year because I used all my free time in between, like January and May to write it. Um, every time I say I don't have time to like do other things, it's because I literally gave up reading time, game time, those kinds of things to slowly chip away at the first Antecedents Legacy. So it'll go up on the what's next in rotation because I only do basically the next two books. Because otherwise, I could list down because the rotation repeats normally. I slipped AL in because I already had it done, and I would really like to know how it does as Dungeon Walkers wraps up. I'd like to know whether I have something that I can be like, good, we can run with this, or oh my god, it resurrection quested me and I have to suddenly try to find another series to take over that Dungeon Walker spot again. So I at least had something early in my career as a writer to keep me humble. So, um, uh, I'm hoping that you can keep Andy busy with all your books. Well, she's actually going to be doing Antecedents Legacy too, so she'll be back to doing all of my series when that one starts up. So, Stephanie Savannah will be finishing Dungeon Walkers since she picked up book 3 from me. Um, picked picked up book 3 after Travis walked away. She'll be doing 3 and 4. Um, but after that, Andy has already agreed to do Antecedents Legacy for me, so she'll be locked in for all of my series at that point. So until something ends again, and then we'll find out. Uh, I am a truck driver, and I am buzzing with excitement now. See, Joe? Yeah, she should because of the way audio recording works. It takes her a week to 2 weeks. I mean, depending on the book, how fast it goes, whether things pop up, blah 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 blah, for her to record one of my books on average. Now, AR runs a little longer normally because, let's be honest, they're longer books. But a week to 2 weeks. She then gives, during that process, as she's getting close to the finish, it goes to her audio proofer. Her audio proofer goes through it, fixes some stuff, tells her, hey, you need to go back and change these things, gives it back to her. She hands it over to me, and I listen through it and go, okay. And if she changes words most of the time, I go, I actually like what you did better there. Occasionally, I'll be like, no, I really need this word because it changes inflection and I want it. I give her my corrections after listening through it. She goes through my corrections and her proofer's corrections, puts it all together. We then put it up on ACX. Tell ACX, yes, we're finally done with it. Please, here, hand this to Audible. ACX then takes ACX time, which is one of those cosmic mysteries that nobody's ever sure about, to finally get around to approve it, to hand it to Audible. And as soon as they hand it to Audible, Audible goes, yeah, book. So, um, all in all, it takes her recording it will say 2 weeks. Her proofer's like a week. For me, it's like a few days. Then corrections, which might be a day or two. So 2, 3, we'll say a month of that. And then we hand it to ACX, which can be anywhere from, I think the fastest I've ever seen one pop was, and it wasn't for me, it was for Will, was 2 days. So anywhere from 2 days to 2 months, which again has never happened to me. I think the longest for me has been a month. So anywhere from 2 days to a month for ACX to finally approve it and hand it to Audible. So, sometime in the next 3 months, we should just be hammering out books. So, if you have extra credits and they're not going to expire before March, and you've been waiting for my books, they're all coming out probably before then. Because, like I said, we hope to have Andy finish recording by the end of December, which means by like mid-February, those 5 books, because the 4 there plus the one that hasn't published yet, should all be hitting audio out. So something there. If you have like 5 credits that you're like, I'm waiting for Shinhofen books, they're coming. You should probably have them all by March at the latest. I'm really hoping we can have them all out to you guys by late January, early February. But the majority of that is going to be, hey ACX, have you finished handing them to Audible yet? So uh, you can talk while journaling. Pretty sure that comment goes back to my dental comment, which would make sense. I am not sure if I have like an exam or anything. I know I don't have any like major work being done, but I don't know if it's just a cleaning or if I have like we're gonna do full X-rays and you're gonna be stuck in this chair for 3 hours. Um, so I'm probably gonna push it off to the 16th. I'll of course have I will mention it in my blog at the beginning of December, and I'll put a post up in the Facebook chat probably around the beginning of December with day and time. I try really hard to stick to the 15th, but I will shift it one day to either side of that, depending on life. Yeah, Paul, I was kind of sad about it too. I always had other points where I could soft end Dungeon Walkers, though. So at least one of my contingency plans, I guess you could say, is still viable. And especially where in the series it is right now. Um, I had, like I said, I had other plans for the series going on. Unfortunately, we're not going to see all that happens. It's really sad, and I know Dungeon Walkers for other authors would still be a really good series, but I employ a number of editors, artists, and everything else, and I pay a good amount of people to make sure my books are what you guys expect. So I still have to make a certain amount for them. So can you are we cool with that? Can I reschedule? No, I set my dental stuff up way ahead of time because I don't know. Most dentists are like always 2 3 months out minimum. So I don't be like, oh, I can't set something up on the 15th. When they go, hey, we have an appointment, I go, great, please let me get in. Will the December stream be in the earlier later? If I push it too tall, if I do it on the 16th, a Friday instead, I'll probably do a slightly later because I try to balance the times like 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. I try to spread those out on days of the week and also times so more and more people have a chance to show up and participate. The more people who have a chance to participate, the more people who have a chance to get one of the challenge coins. So I really do try to change things up like that. Since I did 10 a.m. this time, if I push it off, like I said, till Friday, I'll probably do like a Friday night stream. I'll probably do like 5 p.m. Pacific, which would be 8 Eastern, and would be god awful early in the morning, Saturday morning, across the pond. But then again, this is what, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the evening, um, in Europe. So, I mean, we balance out that way. Where was I? Okay, yeah. Can we get the promo blurb for AL1? I am not yet set on the blurb for AL. I still need one of my people to go through it and solidify it. So until all my editors have touched on the blurb and it doesn't look like my raw text, which whew, as my editors can tell you, until everything is set, I'm not throwing things out there. So I can give you what I've told before, and we'll go ahead and do that now. Antecedents Legacy is going to be an isekai. It's still somebody removed from where they were in life. It is going to be a sci fantasy, as I like to call it. It's a mashup of science fiction and fantasy. We're going to have AI, nanotech, but we're also going to have elves, succubi, vampire, dwarves. We're going to have that kind of mashup. There are going to be spaceships. There are going to be space stations. There are going to be gangs. There are going to be mercenaries. There's going to be mecha. It's this mad mashup of things that I was really excited about when I wrote it. I mean, there's a reason why I gave up my free time for the book, um, and my editors have really enjoyed it. So I'm very hopeful. But until I get things more settled, until all my people have had a chance to go through and clean up my god awful raw writing, I'm not gonna put a blurb out there for people to laugh at. Honestly, have you watched anything interesting recently? Actually, Chano, I don't really watch a whole lot of things. Thursdays I normally get together with a couple of good friends, and we'll sit and normally laugh at anime for a couple of hours. Normally, the stupider, the more we laugh. Um, I'm trying to think of the name of it. Can't remember the name of the anime. There have been two or three where we have been nearly in tears throughout the entire 12 series like arc, just laughing because it's so over the top and dumb that you can't do anything but laugh at them. Me and the girlfriends normally spend dinner with an episode of some old TV show. Like we finished MASH not too long ago. We're currently on season 5, I think, of Castle, which I think is the last season we actually watch. It gets the last couple seasons of Castle, in my opinion, not worth going back for. We watched all the way through it once, and that was enough. We have all of NCIS, I think, up through season 12 that we're probably going to start on soon. Um, we always hit Firefly at least once a year because Firefly. Um, and then we have like I think another dozen plus series in there that we go through. But we watch one episode of a half hour long show while we have dinner together. It's one of our quality times together where we sit on the sofa together and we eat dinner and watch a show. Because you need to have those moments where you're all just together doing something. But watched anything interesting lately is kind of like because I don't really watch anything newish. Um, I still need to go back and watch Witcher 2 with Sammy because we haven't done that. So that's also something we're gonna have to we'll do. So because I still enjoyed The Witcher, and one of my girlfriends hates Yennefer of Vandenberg. Hates hates the cunt, as she says. So yeah, but season 2 should be interesting to watch with her because I know Yennefer plays a big part of season 2. Where was I? Which does I did hear the article that I can't think of the actor's name. The man playing Geralt is is apparently stepping away from the role, which is sad because I mean he did a really great job with that, and I was hoping he stayed around forever, kind of like Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. Though I will say I am looking forward to that in 2024. I am looking forward to Deadpool 3 with uh with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman together on screen because that should be amazing. And what? Cavill, thank you. It is cold and soggy here in Illinois. I mean, I'm not really surprised by that. I mean, Illinois has Chicago, the cold, blustery, windy city, so I'm not really surprised that like the rest of the state would be cold and soggy as well. I mean, you do live right near a Great Lake, or more than one, depending. I'm not positive exactly where Illinois mashes up against the Great Lakes now. I know you guys are right there though. I mean, the state is like, hi, we're here. Kind of like California being, taken up on one side by the Pacific. It's like, it's wet. Well, you live next to an ocean. Of course it's wet. And then, of course, you have the high desert of Southern California, which is dry as fuck. And I like the desert. Are there any other tabletop model using games you enjoy besides Battletech? I'm having trouble finding good quality models for it without printing, and I want to paint. I mean, the only other tabletop game I play with any regularity is D&D. But I normally get my characters made up from Hero Labs, so they're as close to what people envision for their characters as possible. But I mean, that's really it for like tabletop games. We have been doing Warhammer Quest, which is the fast dungeon uh, Warhammer Fantasy game that came back out like I think it was the 80s that my friends put together a set for me of. Because that takes less time to put together a run than like a standard D&D game. So, are we able to preview the challenge coin of AL? Maybe. I will consider this request, Paul. We have time in the live chat yet. I might see my way to doing so. What? Everything is funnier when you have no context for it. That's how misunderstandings happen. It's great. Fantasy Sim League. This channel is awesome. Well, thank you for coming in, Fantasy Sim. It's in the 40s in Texarkana. See, even Texas gets cold. Hang on, which Texarkana? Because if isn't Texarkana one of the towns that borders actually the two states where you're like, I'm in Texas, I'm in Arkansas, I'm in Texas. I'm not positive. The Hoth, Alaska being Hoth is an ongoing joke with Big Mo, who's one of my alpha readers uh, who I talk to a lot. So the Texas side of Texarkana. Okay. So every time I mention Hoth, I'm probably talking about Alaska, unless I'm specifically talking about Star Wars. He mentioned it once, and I'm like, yeah, no, I can see that. That's totally Hoth. And he's like, yeah, but we have our 1 month of summer, and I'm like, yeah, and all the mosquitoes are out, dude. There's no way in hell I'm visiting you when it's warm, and there's no way I'm visiting you when it's a blizzard. So I'm not visiting Hoth. I keep telling him if he comes down in the winter here, it'll feel like summer to him, and he'll be fine. You can maybe talk about your work that ethic. For 20 books. I mean, I could, Oni. I'm still kind of an oddity in that regard, from what I understand. Um, I don't know from what from the authors I talk to, the fact that I basically write a chapter every day is seen as the oddity, because everyone else is like, dude, how do you do that? And I'm like, how do you not? I mean, I get one chapter done every day. Sometimes I get two done. In the rare cases where the book is just like amazingly flowing out of my head, I can do three. Doesn't happen often, like maybe once or twice a year. But I can normally push for two. Like if the story's going really good and I'm just like, yeah, I want to write another chapter about this. I can normally do two, maybe a couple times a month. But I set myself one chapter a day. It's not hard. It's something I want to do. I enjoy writing my stories. So I never saw it as something that was difficult or something that was, hard for me. It's just, oh yeah, I'm gonna sit down and get my chapter done today. Some days the story for whatever reason is just being a bitch and it doesn't want to let me tell it. Those days it's harder to get the chapter out. Those are days where it takes me longer. Um, but overall, I mean, I've never had like full writer's block where like I just can't write today. I'll sit down and I'll write, and the story will flow. It's just sometimes, corralling the characters into talking to me. But I that's just how I do. I know other people who write like 10,000 words a day, and I'm like, dude, I would fucking die. That is basically five chapters to me. Yeah, but I knock out a book in, a week, and I'm like, uh huh, and I would be dead in one day. So, I mean, every author has their own thing, but I thrive on schedules. I thrive on routine. So for me, writing a chapter every day is just, you know, it's what I do. It's the routine I push for. And I enjoy doing it, so it's never been hard. But I understand that, other really good authors, like Hunter, Dakota, they're like, dude, you read a chapter every day? Well, yeah, barring me being sick and bedridden and stuff, pretty much every day. Which, by the way, food poisoning sucks, guys. I had that a couple days ago, and I did a day recently where I wrote nothing at all. Not a fucking word. Why? Because I couldn't sit at my desk. And I understand that when I'm sick, it's okay. Because not writing a chapter a day actually makes me feel terrible. But I've come to accept that when I feel terrible, it's okay to not do so. So at least I'm growing as a person. At least I like to think so. Or how you world build and such, things to consider that most authors skip over. I mean, I don't know, Paul. I mean, maybe I've never talked to any of the people in 20 Books group. I know other authors who are part of it, but I never talked to like the people who run the convention. Um, like I said, and it's mostly a hey, I'm part of this community of authors, and I have other authors looking to talk to me kind of thing. Um, and I always feel like I don't belong there. Honestly, I still don't see myself as that guy. I don't mind doing like Dragon Con and stuff because that's just like a group of geeks getting together to talk about things they really enjoy. And if people show up and want to listen to me there, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just another geek here to enjoy stuff. So, I mean, for me, it has like a different vibe to it. How has your health been lately? I just answered that one, Chopper. How long is it beard and how long did it take to get that long? I actually do not know the full length, Paul, but it gets trimmed every month. It gets a little snips off the ends, keep the dead ends down so it can be healthy and keep growing. The sides, as you can see, they get trimmed down because I hate having the hair in my eyes and in my mouth. So I try to keep like the corners and the mustache trimmed down so I'm not a complete walrus in that regard. But I'm not sure about like length. It's been, I want to say, fairly consistent at this length for quite a while. If it's growing, at this point it's growing really slow. Um, and I'm really kind of good with this short bush that I have now. Would I like the ZZ top, like long all the way down to the navel beard? I mean, that would be interesting. But my beard is curly. Like if I wet this all down and I lengthened it out, it actually comes down to like maybe here on me. So it gets a little more length, but it likes to bush up and curl, so it doesn't really do that. I'd have to spend a lot in like gels and stuff to get it to not do what it wants to do naturally. I got my mother's thin hair and my father's curly hair, so yeah, not the best. I would have totally taken my father's like thick hair and the straightness of my mom's. I did not get that option at character creation. I've been listening to the series and was just wondering because I imagine it's a big property. I wasn't sure if she was the only one taking care of the place, even though she was the only name mentioned. Fair enough, Doug. Yeah, Bayless was the caretaker. I mean, she was only planning to be there for a couple of years to like keep things neat and tidy. Like I mean, if the home needed like work on, I'm sure she would hire someone to like fix the roof or whatever, like most people normally have to do because most of us aren't roofers. Um, but yeah, she was basically just like a live-in maid for all intents and purposes to keep the place running, and then she became a nanny, and then now, of course, where we are in the story, it's an orphanage. So things have changed a little. Burn out is something. Yeah, do not be on fire, right? Are you normally on fire? No, then try not to be that way. Try to stay not on fire. Oh, a million copies total sold across all my series. I mean, yeah, it might eventually get there. I won't deny that, honestly. But honestly, number of books sold compared to number of books read on KU, there's a vast discrepancy there. I have way more KU reads than I sell books. It's one of the reasons I roll my dice with the fact that I might eventually get banned off of Amazon for whatever bullshit rule they want to pull via the KU system, because the discrepancy on where the majority of people read my books is Kindle Unlimited versus buying the book, which is fine. Um, so will I eventually get to a million copies total sold across all my books? Yeah, probably. But like a million copies sold of a specific book, yeah, unlikely. Ooh, Sammy brought the banhammer out. Deleted that comment. How are the new tattoos healing up? It's been. When did I get this done? I got this done on the first. Today is the 15th, so it's been 2 weeks. It's to the point where like all the itchiness and stuff is out of it. I mean, well, yeah, except for the hair growing back. My forearms are of course normally a forest, and he did have to shave the entire back of my forearm because we were gonna place it up from like the elbow down originally, but it wrapped too much because it's kind of chunky up there, which is why we put it further down on the arm instead. So my entire back of my forearm was shaved for this tattoo, and half of it will end up getting shaved again when I go in for the shield. But 2 weeks seems to be about average for me for a tattoo to heal up, I would say. I don't really get scabs out of them. I know some people who do. They get a little dry, um, but I keep them fairly well covered in tattoo goo during the couple of weeks. At this point, I might throw goo on them like once a day, just to keep them going for a little while longer. But I'm pretty much at this point past the healing stage, which is nice. Of course, if I do the full shield on December 2nd or 3rd, whenever I go in, if I do all the black, I let them just blast through and do everything. That one will probably take a bit longer to heal, honestly, and my forearm will be swollen to hell and back. Mom is here. Hey everyone, Mom's here. Remember to not behave. Gives her something to do. People want to meet someone who gives them so much enjoyment and pleasure, so of course we want to meet up with you. I mean, I can understand that, Paul, because there are authors and musicians and stuff where I'm like, I would totally like to meet them and just thank them for what they've done. So I can understand that. I just still have a problem connecting that thought with me. Um, Once again, it's probably part of the imposter syndrome. Like, yeah, people really want to meet me, but I have a hard disconnect in my head where those two things match up. To be fair, I know Andy has that same thing. So I know the two of us were fairly well respected in our circles of what we do, and we're both like, yeah, I don't get this. So, uh, the Sammy slap. Yep, the Sammy did slap somebody down. Good evening, Daniel. It's been ages since I managed to catch a live stream. Well, Ghosted in. Welcome back in, man. This is why I changed up the days and times and stuff. I try to, try to let as many people as possible show up. I want everyone to have a chance to get the coins. And by the way, people, even though I do have the Antecedents Legacy coin yet, it's not on the table for today. Until the book goes live, the coin is not released. I know some of you are like, I'm going to win and get one. And I'm like, no. I might show it to you. Can't win one yet. Can't win it until the book is published. I mean, my officer crew, a dozen or so people, my editors, my alpha readers, my moderators, they all get things a little early because they go above and beyond for me, and I don't pay half of them. So my moderators don't get paid. My alpha readers don't get paid. I pay them in books and coins and stuff instead of cash. But I have a good crew around me now. It's been really nice. I have a lot of good people around me to help keep me going. So I will mention something else before I do the recap here. I was talking to Andy about like trying to do a conjoined Twitch chat. Something I have to look at because I use a Twitch beta instead of like OBS and Twitch Studio and everything else to do this. And I think there might be a way for me and her to like basically just do Discord and then screen share with you guys. I have to look into it still, but if I can get it to work, me and her were talking about doing like a December meet and greet basically with you all, so we can just interact with fans. Because at that point, I'm looking like mid to late December, like when she's recorded everything, so we can go back and discuss what like the last 2 months of just Shinhofen book after Shinhofen book has been like for her, and just chat about things, answer questions from you guys, give things away. It's something I have to figure out. So if at some point you're like in a couple of weeks you're suddenly get a Shinhofen is live on Twitch, it's probably me testing, trying to get Discord to screen share right and record things and the sound to come over. So you're aware ahead of time. I'm not doing. I won't be doing like this a surprise. Hey, live chat. I'll be testing functionality out, trying to get things to work so I can do something later. At least that's what I'm telling myself. We'll find out. Um, but it has been an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and recap for the people who weren't here at the start. Because when we started, we had like a dozen people when I did the first What's Going On, and we are at 40 people now an hour in. So, wow. Um, so, Binding Words 9 was the last book released, Accord. Is not out on audio yet, of course. But it's nice to see that people are still staying strong with Binding Words. It's probably only got another few books left in it, guys. I can't see it going past 12, honestly. I have set the stage for things to really press forward here, going into the last bit of the series. Um, so, but it's nice to see that people are still invested with Sean and family. I know that a lot of people have a problem with the size of the harem in Binding Words, and I can understand that. Most of that is Sean's fault for not paying attention to what he's offering people. Once again, I am just an after action reporter for you guys. I just tell you what's going on. I don't like try to drive them down specific plot holes or plot routes. Not plot holes. That's when you make a mistake. So I understand where the harem size might be a problem for people. I'm trying not to expand out as far again, but once again, I'm an after action reporter for you guys. So we will find out what happens and where. But it's nice to see that is still going strong. The next book out is Aether's Arrival 6, as you can see, currently slated for November 28th. I will, of course, try to press that back to an even earlier release if I can, up and around like Thanksgiving, to give you guys something to do when you're dealing with family you don't really want to do with, because honestly, we can all use that at times. And it'll let you ignore Uncle Bob when he decides to launch into flammable topics that shouldn't be talked about during family time or any time. And then after that, we are going to be launching into the first book of Antecedents Legacy, which is my sci fantasy series. And then we will finally proceed on to Dungeon Walkers 4, which will soft wrap that series. The audio side of things, I am currently audio proofing Binding Words 8. I will have that done in a couple of days. I will have it to Andy. She will do the fixes needed, and then we will put it up into ACX's hands. So late November, early December, hopefully, we will see it up on Audible. It's going to be a however long it takes ACX kind of thing, because I think we'll have it all wrapped and handed to them by the end of the week. And if we do that, then it really is in their hands. Could be 2 days, could be a month, because ACX, you never know. She is currently recording, literally live recording at the moment, Aether's Revival 5 on her Discord server. So she'll probably finish that by midweek next week. And then it goes to her proofer, comes back to me to listen to, and the cycle repeats itself. But we're currently on track to get every book, even up through AR6, recorded by her before the end of December. Because she is going to take, and I don't blame her, the end of December off for Christmas and the New Year. So I mean, let's be nice about things here, guys. She deserves time off. She's a trooper. And that kind of wraps us up on all of that. So let's go ahead and go back to your guys' questions. I do want to say that between Facebook and Discord, there have been some very interesting conversations where you guys think things are going, or why you question why Magi don't do things differently. And I'm totally fine with the speculation and how come they don't X. But most of that, why don't they do X, is people living in today's society going, well, this is totally cool. We know how this works. We have science. And, you're failing to apply that to, like, medieval thinking. So, but I like the conversations. It's really good. Will we see some of those ideas ever translate into the book? I mean, it's possible. I have things that you guys haven't even thought of yet that are coming up for very specific magics. So it'll be fun. But I do like to see the engagement. It lets me know that people are actually really invested in things. I appreciate that. Just remember to keep it, no spoilers, and everything is good. I do occasionally have to delete something on Facebook or Discord because I think it crosses the line of spoilers. So I'm still waiting on AG Book 9. Well, Xerox, you're going to be waiting an awful long time, son. AG 8, Apocalypse Gate 8 soft wrap that series for a reason. So I personally think Dungeon Walkers would have been better as a serial release, like a web novel. I mean, Oni, you're probably right, but honestly, most of my series are basically a long serial. Um, if you go back and read my series from start to finish, any of my series, they're basically that's what they are. They're just one long continuous story broken up into novels instead. So, I mean, there is there is that to consider. I honestly believe I write in that light novel slash web serial type of story arc because every series is the story. I just break them down into chunks and give them to you as novels instead. Could I have done web serials and just been like, here's the next chapter, and kept stories going that way? Yeah, totally, easily. That's not how I got into writing, though. So I do it the way that I've done since I published my first book. So in AG books, why don't we see a lot of they were mentioned Xerox, but I didn't keep mentioning the fact that they never went near major cities, which is where most of those planes are in the air. They fly along very predictable routes. Most air traffic follows set patterns. So, is there a Skippy in Antecedent's Legacy? Paul, there is indeed a Skippy in Antecedent's Legacy. He follows the pattern of most Skippies. I don't want to ruin anything though, but yes, there is a Skippy. I wonder if you'll spot him. We'll find out. You have me in a real quandary. Really looking forward to the new series. but I am gutted that Dungeon Walkers is ending. I mean, fair enough, Ghosted End. To be honest, I understand. I was very upset that Resurrection Quest tanked like it did. I had so much planned for that series. Um, there were things like I'm like I can do this. Book two is going to be this, and then I can roll into like book three and four, and it should be this. And I had a lot of things where I'm like I could total. This is it was set on like an open tabletop system of D&D esque tabletop type setting. Like there's so much I want to do with this. And book one went, and I was like, oh, okay, I understand. But that did open the slot up then for Aether's Revival, which people fucking love, apparently. My best selling series ever to date, in fact. So I can understand the really excited about something, but kind of disappointed something else didn't work out. Been there. Too Tall should get you to record his voicemail. In AG, are the zombies able to evolve above the levels of humans and build their Xerox? If you've read all the way through book eight, I mean that kind of gets answered. I point you at Arlington. When you write, do you write on computer, tablet, phone, journal, blood of your enemies? I use actually Word. I use good old Microsoft Word because that's what I used at the start, and it's kind of an ingrained habit now. I tried using Scrivener for like a month, but honestly, there were too many buttons involved with Scrivener for me. I'm a simple individual. I know other authors who love it, especially authors who write a very tight, structured story, who like have a tendency to jump around the story. Oh, I know I want this scene, so I can write it out and I can set it aside, and I'll get back to it. And they use their outline, and they can jump back and forth. And Scrivener's great for that because you can literally move chapters around, and it'll auto compile them into however you move them. For me though, since I write start to finish, every book is start to finish. Um, I just use Word because I can. So, I'm basically out of coffee. Onto the water. I still need water, even with coffee. If I may, Daniel. Uh-oh. I'm worried. I just want to note that I found Last Horizon a really nice escape coping mechanism when I had a cancer diagnosis in my immediate family last year. Thankfully, it is currently looking like they caught it early enough. I mean, Morgan, I'm glad it was there to help. Um, Last Horizons will always have a special place in my heart because it was the first book I wrote. It touches on people that I know and care for because it's basically those characters are based around the bananas, my old WoW gaming buddies. So there's a lot of poignancy in there because the series that two book series came around with the fact that hey, in 40 years, if we have fully immersive games and you can you can get in there and go from being 80 to feeling like a 20-year-old and have swinging a sword and having a great time. Pretty sure my old gaming group would be like, yeah, we're totally going in and meeting up again, guys. We're gonna have one really good last great adventure before we shuffle off the coil. Um, so, I mean that series, even though it really needs a re-edit, um, will always have a special place in my heart. Um, I am very touched that it has touched people like you because I have been contacted before for roughly the same reason. The fact that it touches on things they've had to deal with in life, namely cancer, considering how the story goes. Um, it's always a little humbling to find that my words have a special resonance with people when they read them. So I'm glad that it was there to help. Did you decide if you're going to do a pre-order for AL? Um, no, I haven't. I mean, it'll end up through the process much sooner than I'm going to release it. Honestly, I'll be honest, guys. Since the book was written and my editors are working on it, it would be ready much earlier than I would normally release a book, and I'm not going to push it out that much sooner than normal. It's something I've never been able to really say before, but this time it was because I had a book fully finished, sitting there for my editors ahead of time, which I hadn't done before. But I probably wouldn't push it out, like I said, earlier than normal. So it does give me the chance to actually put up a pre-order for it. Um, I've considered it. What does that? What am I looking at if I do that? I would say it would be still be in January. Might be like mid January if I was gonna if I wanted to push it sooner than I currently do. Um, but if I do a pre-order, it would be at the most a week-long pre-order. Because shorter pre-orders, from what I've talked to other authors who have done them in the past, shorter pre-orders are better because it builds the excitement, gets people in, people jump on it, and then they don't forget about it because there's not, it's not a month-long pre-order. Things that last 2 weeks and longer pre-order wise um, lose that traction that they gain from a pre-order. Most authors I talk to, a week long is like the longest they really want to normally do a pre-order because that helps build the excitement and push things going into the actual release. So if I do, I wouldn't put up a pre-order until like the beginning of January at the earliest. I have considered doing it. I am not positive I'm going to do it because I really like the idea of just being able to be like, and I'm publishing a book, click, instead of, okay, well, I've set it up for pre-order and now it's coming out at this time, flatly, no exception. Um, so no, I haven't fully decided yet, but it is the only book I've considered doing it on because I actually do have that leeway of when do I want to put this book out. So, but I wouldn't put it out any earlier than like mid January probably. Uh, we all know the Binding Words will not end anytime soon. It's not going for 30 book Xerox. I will not keep a series going just because it sells. Stories have endpoints. I know what those endpoints are when I write the series. I will not be like, well, you guys are still wanting to buy it, so I'm going to put out another book and try to stretch this out because that's how really good TV shows crash and burn. And I would like that to not happen to my books. So, yeah, I just couldn't connect with the characters, and that's fine. That's fair steaming. A lot of the biggest complaints for Resurrection Quest were the cast was too big at the start, the main characters were assholes, and I had no connection to them. Which is true. They're built; those characters are built on people I know, and yes, they're assholes, and yeah, they're very polarizing. So I can understand that. Like I said, so I very well might revisit that system though, because I really enjoyed that open tabletop-esque system that I had in mind for it. So I think the lack of healing system in that series was something because it gave that gritty. We have to be careful and think things through instead of just the clerics got us. We're good. Let's keep going. I was exposed to COVID this weekend. Well, Z, sorry to hear that. It is still a thing going around. So we all need to be aware. I'm not asking for people's personal opinions on the subject. I will just say that it is a thing that humanity is probably going to be living with for the foreseeable future. And I at this point, I don't think that we'll ever be rid of it. Kind of like the flu and colds, I think that it's just going to be around forever now. Just really wanted to say hi and keep up the fantastic work. Well, Wolf, I appreciate that. Thank you for popping in for at least a little bit. Uh, extra credits. What are those? Oh, fair enough, Ghosted in. Um, yeah, I actually sit on a small stockpile of credits because I have myself set to X amount of credits bought every year, and I have until I think it's late August when mine renews. Because Amazon being Amazon, if you don't use all your credits by the end date, you lose them, and I think that's bullshit. But hey, whatever. They own the majority share of fucking audiobooks, so they can do whatever the hell they want because nobody's ever challenging them. So I make sure that I just make sure I use all my credits. Um, Considering I buy all my own audiobooks, that gives me at least 6 to 8 of those credits a year I know are being spent because I'm buying my own damn books. Because I listen to them to catch me up on series when I'm writing. That also then gives me extra credits to pick up other things that I want to listen to in audio format, which is, to be fair, 90% of Andy's catalog. So some of her stuff I just don't care for. The story just doesn't resonate with me or something. And then there are a couple of other series, rare though they are, where I'm like, I'm okay with this audio person, and they put out something I'm interested in, I'll pick it up. In other cases, it's just something that I really enjoy, and the narrator really is good enough to keep me into it. Cradle, for instance, that Travis does. I buy those audiobooks because I really enjoy them, and I've grown used to how he voices those characters. I just buy more credits. I mean, that's fair enough. What are you drinking in the mug? Well, I had the coffee in the coffee cup. The mug here with the castle is my water cup. I have two exact copies of this mug. They get changed out every once in a while because I sit on a well with heavy mineral content, and they do need to be cleaned out. But otherwise, those are just my water cups. Those just sit on my desk. 10 a.m. on a Tuesday is rough, but I get they can't all be convenient just for me. I mean, pretty much, Jen. That's why I change, like I've said before. It's why I change days of the week and times, so more people get chances. This one specifically, I was like 10 a.m. That's 4 o'clock or so later for my European fans. Should be easier for them this time, as opposed to like when I do a 5 p.m. stream, which is like 1 o'clock in the morning their time. So I do try to shift things up so everyone gets a hopefully a chance to show up. Somehow I haven't heard about Antecedent's Legacy. I plead life. Can you give me a synopsis? I'm pretty sure How far back is that comment? I am 45 minutes behind you guys. For fuck's sake. Well done. We're gonna be here for a while. It looks like because I normally stop when I catch up with everything. So good job. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I've covered that, Rob. And if I haven't, go ahead and comment on it again. Okay? Okay. I'll see your answer in 45 minutes or more. No, Xerox. The lizard is biurnal. Comes out basically at crepuscular. Comes out. I knew it was something. Comes out at dawn and dusk, so not in the middle of the day. Would you share what you would have wanted for Dungeon Walkers after it gets released? Um, the original thought is, if it did amazingly well, we'd stay with Stern all the way up through the end of the Goddess's Promise, which has been referred to in the series. We'd see him push through. Um, that would make it a 20 to 30 book series, honestly. The way things were going, I could have, I could have chopped and jumped some in there, and I probably would have. I could have just been like, and you catch back up to them a year later. They've cleared these dungeons, and just done a recap on some of them. Um, but yeah, the series was middling to start with, and I pushed through the first couple. Like, okay, I hope that it gains traction, and it never did. It dropped further and further off as we've gone through books. So I have to at some point be like, I still have to meet bills, which is why I've had two or three places in the series where I'm like, I can do this kind of out, I can do this kind of out if needed. This one is the first of those that I had like contingency plans set for. So this is where I'm going to be like, okay, soft ending. So we will see. The soft ending does give me the chance that, in 10 years when I have no mortgage and bills and stuff and I can do whatever the hell I want and not have to worry as much, I can actually go back to it if I want. So we will have to see on that regards, but that is where we are. But the end thing was, if the series was like Aethers, where it's just amazing and people absolutely love it, I probably would have pushed all the way through the Goddess's Promise. Uh, okay, okay. The blurb: in a world, dot dot dot. In a world, isn't that the start to Hercules? I think that was the start to Hercules TV series. In a world ruled by gods, or something like that. I think. I'm only 45 minutes behind, guys. Don't worry about it. I'll get to everything eventually. Uh, good. Good work is worth the wait, and you consistently put out amazing work. I appreciate that, Archon. I'm always continuously amazed that people enjoy the crazy stories in my head. So, I'm gonna skip that question because spoilers. Well, to be fair, yeah. Antecedents Legacy is kind of a mashup like Lux Voice, but then again, most of my series are. If you stop and look at them, they really are. Um, I always like taking something and making it something else. Always have. Um, I mean, you take if you look all the way back to Alpha World, that was basically a psychological book with lit RPG elements to it. Lit RPG went into addressing to a psychological book, something that dealt with mental health trauma. So I mean, that kind of is a mashup all on its own. Apocalypse Gates took a lot of things and slammed them together. Let's be fair. Binding Words is probably the most flat series. I mean, because it's an isekai with fairy theme, with fey nobility. There's not a whole lot like extra thrown in with that. I mean, we did touch upon other gods and stuff, but I didn't like include a cyberpunk element to it as well. So that's probably the one series that's actually the most like plain, because Aethers is Cultivation slash Magic Academy, which was the mashup to start with. Now we're going more to just cultivation, as this, since they're out of the academy and we're moving forward. Lux Voice, of course, we have Western fantasy. We have the Weird West setting of Lux Voice. And Dungeon Walkers, we had a video game slash dungeon crawl system. So I like twisting things. I like changing and making them different in some way. I always have. I know Binding Words probably hasn't gone the way people originally thought after like book one. You're like, oh, it's Fey heavy. It's going to be exactly kind of like this. And I like to think that that's not exactly where we are. So, uh, I have a couple of old animes I keep watching because I fall over laughing when I watch them. Fair enough. The only anime I really go back and like rewatch and revisit is Gate. Gate, so the Self Defense Force fought, I think, is like the full title once you convert it from Japanese to English. I really like that isekai esque feel. There's a lot there that I think actually probably could have been fleshed even more. Author has decided to take more fair. It was a light novel slash manga slash anime. It was never going to take the risks it could have. But overall, I still really enjoy the story of Gate. All of them, Paul. We watched from the start to the finish last time. Mash is always good. The last couple of seasons to me get a little more uh how to say it, politically slash preachy um than I really care for. I mean, I like MASH for the comedy, not the you have to understand that war is bad and blah 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 that it really tries to shove in, especially in the last couple of seasons. Everyone knows that war is bad. Most don't seek to go to war all the time. Now, America technically has been at war most of its history with one person or another, but eh, I watch TV for an escape, not to be reminded how terrible things are. Yeah, for me, NCIS kind of like I when Abby went away, honestly, when the geek goth went away, it was kind of like, oh, I liked the character. I do like my goth girls. That's true. Do you still play BattleTech? Burn the Mage asked a while back. Um, no, it's been I haven't played since the group broke apart. Honestly, um, if I do meet up, like I said, with a couple of good friends on Thursdays, and we have been watching anime. Um, I might maybe eventually convince them, the two of them, and we can do like a just skirmishes, three person skirmishes with each controlling a team. Because I mean, the table and stuff is still all there. It does require that the person who owns the table clean the table, which at this point is not going to be a simple process. But possibly I can convince them to eventually to do so. I like tactical turn-based games. Always have. My favorite. I hate RTS, real-time strategy. I hate because I don't want to be rapidly clicking things to try to get the best out of it. I like tactical turn-based games. Always have. It's one of the reasons I like BattleTech. It's one of the reasons most of the games I play, like when I play with Andy, are turn-based games. Tactical, especially, even though Andy's going to be the chaos magnet that she is and do things that aren't exactly the best idea because they're going to be funny or because she wasn't paying attention. We persevere because we have a great time together. But I prefer tactical turn-based games. Liam Hemsworth is replacing Kevin Longwitcher. Yeah, I know, but it's never going to be the same. You got used to the one person who just completely embodied the role to begin with. I'm sure that he's going to do his best, and it might still be good, but it will be different. What's your favorite isekai transfer method? I don't really have a favorite. I mean, they all have their place in time, depending on the story. Rebirth is fine if you're doing one of the I kind of vaguely remember what life used to be like before this, and that gives them the edge needed to go through life. Um, I'm sorry you had a terrible accident. Maybe the friendly God who gives you a new life in this world for whatever reason is one that always works. Normally, that gives them an overpowered edge to start with because God fucked up. Um, they all have their time and place. It just depends on what the story needs, honestly. Cavill's a fan of the series and he just wasn't happy with where the series was going. I mean, I can't blame him. If you're a fan of something and it's going a place that you don't care for, you put it down, you walk away from it. It really hurts when it's the guy who's playing the main character does that, but I can't fault him either. Like I said, I don't know if that's actually been 100% confirmed though, Phoenix. Um, I know it's been talked about, I know that also has been talked about, like, well, since his role as Superman was being picked up again, that he didn't have the time. I know there's a lot of things, but I don't know which is correct because I don't think he's exactly said. If he has, I just haven't seen it. So if he has personally come out and said this is why himself on record, then I'll never fault the man. If it was just Hollywood bullshit getting in the way, then god damn it. Yeah, Xerox. My players at the table will probably never be comfortable with me live streaming a D&D game. So I would not get my hopes up, buddy. Yeah, see, that's why we watch up to a certain point, Tanner. Abby and McGee were great people. The drama behind the scenes is what turned a lot of people off of it. So this is where I get jealous. I can't grow a beard, so I can't do the beard stroking to think. It's okay. I mean, not everybody is destined for the beard of greatness. Some of us are born to it. Others of us just hack it off somebody and glue it to our face. Or is that right? That's slightly psychotic. Forget that second part. Let's stick with the first part. Uh, where was I? Okay, okay. Oh yeah, I am only almost an hour behind now, guys. I'm gonna push through. We got this. You can. It's okay. Oh, do we have a lot of them? We've had 3 trolls. Damn. I saw the one where you came down on them. The other ones must be later that I haven't seen yet. It was Jen. That's what I said. I think I thought it was one of the ones that actually crossed state lines. That's why I was like, I'm not positive at this point though. It's been a while since I've written an Apocalypse Gates. Have you read anything by Mercedes Lackeys? Of course, I've written things by Mercedes Lackeys. My geek credit's still good there, buddy. Jeez, insult me like that. Teach the next generation of authors how to do it. That's the thing, Paul. I don't know how. I just do. I'm bad at explaining. Just be ready for the desert winds. Yeah, yeah, we do get our windstorms. We do get our, oh, it's only a 50-mile-an-hour breeze today. A normal breeze. Do you think it helps to have so much downtime between the booms, unlike other authors who are more focused on action? Um, I don't know, honestly. I can't force myself to write that way, honestly, because that's what it would be to me. For me, it always feels like there is no time to breathe for those books. The main the Dresden style of writing. What could go wrong now? There's no time to breathe. All those novels encompass 2 days, a week or less of just things are going wrong, 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 and the main character is jumping from fire to fire to fire to fire. I just can't make myself write that way. That works for some people, and I enjoy some of the books that are written that way. But mostly, I'm like, at some point, your main character should snap. You can only stress one individual for so long before they literally fall apart. Um, and for me, it's always been I want to know who the character is. I want to spend more time with these people where they're not, oh my god, balls to the wall all the time because the world is going to end otherwise. Um, so, I mean, I just write what I would enjoy reading myself. Um, there are very few other authors that I've ever picked up the book from where it's like, and this is just a nice, relaxing story. Normally, it's like you said, it's jumping from problem to problem. Um, I like to think that you guys read my books because of that. The fact that it's a little more slow paced, that you get to understand the people more. Even though I do have my trolls who are like, oh my god, he spends so much time on relationships, where's all the action? I mean, there are a lot of other authors out there if that's what you're looking for is action, action, action. Um, I like to think my niche is more of the slow paced lifestyle. I mean, that's what I've written for 40 some odd books, so I must be doing something right with it. My best for the book I wrote was like 5 chapters in a day for a few days, but then I burned out. Yeah, like you said, it happens. You can do that to yourself. Now, I mean, if the words are just flowing and it's not you're not pushing yourself, you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Then I don't think you ever quite reach that. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. But for most people who do that, they're not. It's not the words are flowing. It's I want to get this done. I want to get this done. I want to get this done. So for me, that would kill me. But I've never written a story faster than 2.5 weeks. I think is what it took me to write the first Apocalypse Gates. That was just because the story was like pouring out. But for other people, they do that in 5 days, and I'm like, it took me, I think it was 20 days to write Apocalypse Gates 1. And for other people, they do that in 5 days, and I'm like, the story was amazing and it flowed so smoothly for me. And at the same time, you're going to do that 4 times you put out a book 4 times as fast, or write a book 4 times as fast. And I don't understand how that is possible or sustainable. So for me, guys, a chapter a day. Most of my books are around 45 chapters. In some cases, I'm looking at you, Aethers, where they're 60 to 70 chapters. Um, and yet I still write them in a 2 month span. I still give myself 2 months to write a book, and it's worked so far, and I never feel stressed about it. So I like my little system, and I gotta stick with it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, I was right about Texarkana. Is part of the reason you constantly move between your series is something that helps you not burn out? Is there something that you do that stops burnout? Actually, yeah, Phoenix. That is that is absolutely correct. It was Alpha World 4, I think, where we're really starting to really dig into the psyches and what's going on with the group. Where I'm like, this is just a heavy part of the story, and I need something to help pull back on this to give myself breathing room. Which is when I think I wrote the first Apocalypse Gates. And like I said, that story just flowed out of me, and it was amazing and beautiful. Um, and then when I got back to then, okay, I'm gonna go write Alpha World 5. I felt refreshed in getting back into it. I was like, okay, that actually helped a lot. And then I slotted binding words in there as well because the story just would not let up inside my head. It's like, you will write me. Okay, I will write you. Um, and I found the rotation really helps me balance things out. Me, the writer, it helps me feel better about where stories is and where things are going. I'm not feeling like I'm being dragged away in a current, or I'm sitting there at my keyboard going, why isn't the story flowing today? Um, could I rotate from series to series to series and do more series in a rotation than I am? I could. I will not, because I would like you guys to get at least one book in any given series a year. But I aim for more two, because at the moment I put out 6 to 8 books in a year, which means half of the series you get 2 books in that series a year, and the other half you get 1 book. And then the next year it'll flip. So every 2 years you get 3 books in any given series, which I think feels quick enough without you guys being like, dude, it's been 2.5 years. When's the next book of this series coming out? Traditionally published authors, or in some cases, some of the Lit RPG authors who haven't published a book in 2 years. Um, it works for me, and as long as it keeps working, I'm going to keep doing it. So I think I think I found what works for me, possibly. I mean, it's been going for the last couple of years where I felt happy with it, so I'm going to say yes. It's been about 2 years since I found this rotation, and I've been good with it. I'm growing as a person, but it's sideways. I mean, well, to be fair, Serenia, most of us are like that, especially as time ticks on and the body slows down. Has it been asked how many books is AR going expected to run? Well, burn the mage. Let's talk about that for a moment, shall we? When I wrote Alpha World, before I put the first word down on paper, I'm like, this should be a good solid trilogy. And then I got to like the end of book 2, and I'm like, okay, totally not wrapping this up in 3 books, maybe 5. Then I got to the end of book 4, and I realized, okay, I apparently don't know how to count. Maybe 7. And I got to the end of book 7, and I'm like, motherfucker. So I wrote book 8, which should have technically been books 8 and 9. So what should have been a trilogy ended up as long as 9 books should have been. So I'm kind of bad at judging that. I haven't gotten any better, by the way, either. So, I mean, Apocalypse Gates, I'm like, the North America arc, 3, we'll say 5 books. It'll be fine. It took me 8. And once again, book 8 should have probably been books 8 and 9. So, um, yeah, I don't know. It will take as many books as the story takes to tell, or until such time that I am forced to find a soft ending because it does not sell. Considering where AR is, I expect it to run for a while. The storyline that I had plotted out, because I have a very rough patchwork frame of this is where my story starts. Here are some things I would like, and this is the end point that I would love to hit if I can get there. Here are the points where I could back out if I have to, if the series does amazingly poorly. Um, I know where the story ends. How many books it'll take me to get there is just as much a mystery to me as it is to you currently. This is why I know though the Binding Words will run at this point because I'm going to be writing book 10 next. I know that 12 should end it. Just from where my rough graph was at the start and what's left. If it goes past 12, it definitely will not go past 15. That would actually take me to take that last chunk of story and stretch it out to a point where I would be uncomfortable. So I am comfortable at this point saying that Binding Words going to 12 is probably where it'll end. If it ended on 11, I would not be surprised. If it ended on 13, I'd be like, okay, there was a little more than I thought. But how many books are going to be an X series to me is always one of those. Well, there's a bit there. What was the longest amount of time that you found your rhythm for writing? Like hours in a day? I don't know because I don't really judge in hours of a day. JM. Like I said, I set out to write a chapter a day. That could be an hour and a half. That could be 10 hours, depending on the day. Um, I have done word count wise. You have to remember my chapters are about 2,000 words, give or take, per chapter. I have hit 10,000 words in a day before. Basically 5 chapter. I think it was actually 4 chapters because they were all a little longer, but 10,000 words in a day. So about a tenth of one of my books because my books run about 100,000 words or longer normally um, in one day, and that was back when I was writing Apocalypse Gates 1. I've done it one other time since then. There have been a few times I've hit 6,000 words, chunky chunk, and that was actually earlier this year when I was writing. I think it was Binding Words and or Aethers, while also writing Antecedents Legacy. When I was like, okay, I did 2 chapters of Aethers today. I'm kind of done. I'm good. I'm solid. And then, after dinner and stuff, and I sat back down at my computer, I'm like, I could totally slip in a chapter of Antecedents Legacy right now. And then proceeded to do so. Um, but I don't really look at, how many hours in a day I write. It's more how many chapters came out that day. I'm in shape. Round is a shape. That is correct, Serenia. And I will hold to that roundness as long as I roll. Uh, on the plus side, I give great hugs. That is true. When there is padding, the hugs are better. I promise to keep the claws in for most hugs. I mean, for some people you don't have to, if you know what I mean. Uh, let's see. We have fire. Okay, we're back there. the beard, the beard is compensating for the scalp. Well, I mean, it just kind of grew through. I think it didn't grow up like it was supposed to. It just grew down and out because there's not much inside there. So, like I said, I don't think much. I just tell you what happened to the people who had a life. I'm just an after action reporter. So some of us read on KU and then buy with the hope that you get paid for both. If it's the next fiscal month or the next calendar month steaming, if you like if I publish AR6, like I said, the end of the month, right, and you read it, and then you return it by the end of the month, and then come December 1st with it no longer being in your Kindle, you buy it, I get paid for both. So, hi mom, that was almost an hour ago. You guys are on a roll today. I just want you to know that. Normally, I'm starting to catch up by now, and you are not letting me catch up, and that is amazing. Oh, so you're purposely sabotaging the stream, are you? uh, where's the? Do you think he would move? Do you think he would move to audio? I mean, if I got banned off of Amazon Xerox, I'd have to move to somewhere. But honestly, the cost to produce to what is made ratio would take a vast hit if I get kicked off of Amazon. Amazon still holds the majority of market share for ebooks and audiobooks. So could I be like, okay, I'm moving flat to Patreon, or I'm moving straight to a website where you guys pay me directly? Yes, I could. Would I make nearly what I make now? No, I would not. Would it be enough to continue doing so? Probably. I would have to cut back on editing costs and art costs and everything else. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could like afford working with Andy at that point, because if I'm not doing royalty share with her, I'd have to pay her per finished hour again. So if that ever came to pass, things would be vastly different than they are now. Let's be honest. So let's hope it never happens. And we enjoyed meeting you for drinks when you were at DragonCon. Thank you, I appreciate that. I go there with the intent purpose to see people, fellow authors who I love hanging out with, and the fans who show up. As far as I know, there is slow movement working on doing the whole medieval times event again next year. But until we have more things are solid in place and whatnot, I can't say a lot about it. Uh, okay, well, there's people. Okay, people. How does if you buy a calendar month after you finish? Okay, so people are replying back to the first one. Uh, any chance we can get any chance we could get a collector's coin fundraiser wall-mounted display with all the coins available? No, I try to leave them for like giveaways for this. I want them to feel special and something to be proud of if you get them, and not just somebody went here, take my money. I'm not normally against the here, take my money things. I have abused them myself in the past. But I like the feeling. I like the idea that they're rare. They're something that you got because you did something above and beyond, like, attending these, doing the giveaways that I do a couple times a year. So I am unlikely to do so at this time. No problem, again. I hope you check back later. Oh, I finally hit the recap time an hour ago. It's almost time for a recap again.
Oh,
Wow.
no worries.
No more recaps? I mean, to be fair, it is 2 hours in.
Yeah, but you're also an hour behind.
I know. It's not my fault. Maybe it is. Maybe I spent too much time on questions.
No, it's
Uh,
fine. Recap the recaps.
uh, thanks, Kay. I am going down and just going past just odd comments at this point, guys. I will find more questions here shortly. Uh, John, Zachary, Kay. If you think about it, except for near airports, aircraft are widely scattered per FAA rules. Flying aircraft east have to maintain a specific distance horizontally from flying aircraft the opposite directions along the same route. Except around major cities and airports, you might see one crash. Okay. Uh-huh. As an after-action reporter, you have to be in the room to report accuracy. That's what they are. They're in my head. I managed to make the chat. Nervous energy. Welcome in. I don't know if you made the last recap. You probably didn't. But at this point, we're not recapping the recaps. Apparently, my my, my editor has put her foot down. Remember, in Discord, you can put two pipes the vertical line above the enter key before and after you. Com- I had no idea. I wonder if Greg would eventually think, oh, it would be convenient if X or Y could happen, and then you end up actually creating Magitech. I mean, we'll find out. Oh, spoiler warnings. Okay, that makes sense. Heard Binding Words may only have three more books to go. You may have answered this earlier, but how many books do you feel AR will run? Just, just commented on that one, so I'm good there. Yeah, I already answered the question ahead of time. I'm smeared. Will you write a book with an anti-hero? I did, Xerox. It was called Apocalypse Gates. You know that. You like Apocalypse Gates. Will Antecedent's Legacy be slice of life too? I hope it is. I love the flow. I mean, that's what I write, JM. I can't I can't not write slice of life. I have tried it once. It was fucking awful, and it will never see the light of day. Um, I write linear stories for a reason. I write slice of life for a reason. It's what I write well because it's what I would like to read. So, but how will that Skippy die? I mean, you're just have to wait and see. Shadow, the final frontier. Oh, the thing between my ears. Got it. That is hair. You're right. It grew down. Excuse me. I think Space Skippy will be eaten by feral space cats. I mean, it almost makes me wish I'd killed him that way now, Serenia. Huh. I don't think I can edit it decent enough to, like, change that and make it work, but maybe I can make it work for somebody else. Space cats ate him. Dun dun dun. But not the cat girls. He doesn't deserve them. I mean, no, we totally wouldn't. But if they're feral cat girls, then it wouldn't be, the good eating. It would just be I'm taking chunks out of your flesh. So gotta be careful of the ferals, man. Sometimes you lose an ear. Fury, Yuki could kill people easier than most think. After all, there are shadows inside the ears and nose, and a very thin, small blade from there to be shoved into the brain. I mean, yes, but at that point, there comes a point where how far away from a person can you manipulate shadows? It's like one of the people mentioned, the body is made up of mostly water. Can't water mages just like kill a person from the inside? And I think eventually I'll have to address that. And the answer to it is not as easily as you would think. And I'll probably have to mention that at some point in Aether's Revival because that kind of thing would be like, why can't I do this? Because almost anyone can be like, yeah, but there's a lot of blood in the body, and that's kind of like a water. So I might eventually have that addressed at some point, but there are reasons for it. The empty space in your lungs is all shadow. Uh, we've gone an hour and there's no rug. The rug is probably in the bedroom, sleeping, licking a vent. So yeah, he has not come in to boot me to ask to go outside. So uh, 30 plus AR books would be amazing. We'll have to try Jedi Mind Trick or two to get AR two, get AR two spots on the writing rotation. It won't happen, Nervous. I mean, I try to put two spots. I try to put two books out a year for it, but I won't be like Binding Words, AR, Lux Voice, AR, Binding Words, AR, Lux Voice, AR. That's not going to happen. The rotation I have works best for me. I'm gonna stay with it. I agree about pre-orders. There have been a few times I've completely forgotten about an audiobook release since I already bought it weeks and months earlier, and the hype had lessened. Yeah, that's exactly what most authors have found. I think. Um, anything outside of a week, you really start to see the drop off of the excitement of a pre-order. And if it's a month or longer, people have forgotten, and then they pick up their device of choice, and they're like, "Oh, I totally forgot that book was coming out. I'll get to it later," which kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah, I would, like I said, I've thought about reusing the system of Resurrection Quest, like different main characters, different story arc, because I really like the system. Okay, seems like seems like you're gaining some confidence in front of the camera. No, it's all fake, Archeron. Honestly, this is all bluster because I don't have to see anyone but myself. When this is over, I'll probably collapse into a coma on the sofa or bed or something because I will have extroverted myself into such a spot because I'm an introvert and would much rather stay an introvert. Ooh, the banhammer came down. Not even a remove comment, just full out slap. Wow. And that's fair, Nervous. I mean, that's why we have regular books. We we have regular books and audiobooks for those people who need a specific type of thing. It's totally fine. Uh, I used to be the same way. Yeah, if you're stuck driving and or wearing hearing protection all the time, audiobooks are nice for that though. So, but I understand where your attention might wander when you're just like listening to a book. So, hello, new office. It's actually lit, and it's actually lit because I have two ring cams now. From the advice of a friend who said I really should lighten up the screen when I'm doing live chats, so I was more visible. And I'm like, I don't see where people actually want to see me, but I was overruled by other people, and I now have two ring lights, so you can see the glistening head and majestic beard. So well, I mean, if they weren't limited runs per dungeon, Buck, you could game the system just by running the same dungeon over and over and over again. There's a reason why a game like system is in place for a game like World, especially when you know that there are going to be people, gamers, actually running it and trying to find ways to fuck things up. Lunch break's over. Well, CB, thank you, CB. Check back later, see if you're one of the winners. Because I will message people on Twitch to get, addresses and stuff so I can get you guys coins. So, have you watched the new Cyberpunk show? Seems interesting. No, I haven't, Evangel. Like I said, I don't really watch a whole lot of TV. If you can, if you can say, will we learn more about the identity of darkness in the next book or later? The identity of darkness, because I know a lot of people are locked in on she's Vera, which I mean could be right, could be wrong. We don't know. The identity of darkness and the mystery of her will eventually be told in the series. When in the series is something that is still waiting. I would expect, if I was you, to see more when they finally get to Kroga, when they actually reach Magus status. But it will be addressed. Yeah, I'm more than a few behind. Hey, I'm only like half an hour behind now. That's amazing. I'm slowly catching up finally. Woo! Still half an hour, I mean. Do you play any Pokemon games? And if so, are you looking for the new one coming out? I play Pokemon Go. It helps keep me walking, Shadow. One of my editors has specifically requested a few days off, blocked out specifically for the new Pokemon game. I have granted this because we are ahead of schedule for once. She is quite giddy over that. Then again, her and Serenia did heavy work to get things done. So I appreciate my editors a great deal, and I try to let them know that. Scott, I will not play a turn-based game with you because I know what you will do. I I happen to know one of your really good friends very well, and I've heard stories. I think I will not make that mistake. Thanks. I have to go back to work. Well, Tal, thanks for coming in. Uh, why not do a writing stream? It gets funny. I know that other authors have done it before. And there's been some debate over the fact that yes, you own the content as soon as you write it, but you're also putting it out there for basically for someone to just rip from wholesale. And whether or not, if you're talking to the stream at all and somebody says something and then it ends up in the book, whether or not they could try to uh, claim intellectual property for it, and it's a whole thing. And honestly, my raw text is fucking terrible. One of my two editors has asked to not touch my raw text, basically. It's that bad. Sammy does a lot of work to take my raw text and turn it into something readable. And between her and Serenia, you guys get things that are legible and not broken sentences because my brain got ahead of my fingers again. So, that and spoilers, as Sammy said, but yeah, my raw text, guys, is not something you really ever really want to read. It's almost an honor to have trolls because it means you're important or popular enough. No, it just means that they were trolling, they were looking through channels, going, oh, there are like 30 people in here. I could probably get away with this shit.
If I need to, I can make a followers only, but I don't want to.
No, we don't want to make it followers only. This way, you guys don't have to click buttons and stuff. You can just come in and chat.
But it gets to be a problem.
I mean, if we ever got enough trolls where like, oh my god, this is getting out of hand, we probably would click it over to followers only. Because I mean, it's not like it's hard to do that. Uh, I like the downtime. It adds to the world building aspect, and that's what I try to do. So it's not always, oh my god, we got to go put out the next fire. You get time to find out what is going on and why. That was the first time through and the second time through Steam. You the first writing of the AG1 was the fast time you did so. Was that the first time through or the rewrite? It was both. Honestly, the first one through was faster than the rewrite, where I made sure Alvin stuck to being an asshole and didn't turn into a goddamn paladin on me. But they were both written really fast. Alvin the Paladin. Man, that series would have been completely different. I like stories with relaxing parts. I'm not sure the constant action is always the author. I read 2 books by a self-published author who got picked up. The publisher had him re-edit the book to remove much of the character building and add action. The books were not as good, and 5 years later, he has not published the next book. I mean, in that case, no, it's not. For most independent authors, though, there's nobody telling us what to do outside of ourselves. As soon as you have a publisher, yeah, there's that bit of, hey, you really need to change this. You need to fix this. You need to do this instead. This needs to be pulled out. One of the reasons why I'll probably never be a traditionally published author, because it's my fucking story. Stay out of it. Tell me if I've done something wrong. Tell me if there's a loophole. Tell me if I've missed something. But don't tell me I need to speed up the story. It's my fucking story. I don't I don't play well or let other people play well. So there's probably a reason why I'll never be part of a group effort. No problem, Chopper. Make sure to check back later, see if you're one of the winners, okay? Just wanted to say hi. I'm in a training meeting online. Boring. I stopped in to stay awake. Looking forward to the next 2 books. Quick schedule question. Does the new book mean we will only get 1 Binding Words next year? I mean, 2. I publish a book on average every 6 to 8 weeks. So you get a book in a series about every 6 to 8 months. I just published a chord in, I'll say it was September. So September to October, November, December, January, February, March. We're probably looking, and actually I pumped one in there. So March, April, Mayish for Binding Words 10, which means we might perhaps possibly see Binding Words 11 like right at the end of the year. I mean, it depends on how it rotates through. Did I publish things more on a 6 week basis or was it more on a 8 week basis? So I don't know yet. We will see. But you have a good average about every 6 to 8 months you'll get the next book of any given series. So you can keep that as a very rough estimate when you're like, I wonder when the next book of X is coming out. Yeah, the background laughter of Alpha World being a trilogy. Yeah. I mean, it's for good reason. We'll be honest. There's a reason why laughter was needed there. I can see that, but I also somehow never get tired of reading OPMCs and traditional cultivation novels. I mean, yeah, but I like to see the growth of it. Nervous. I mean, if they just start out OP, it always kind of okay. You know he's never gonna have a challenge. Um, so I always like the build into it, which is what I've been trying to do with Greg. At this point, he's finally starting to grow to a point where he is starting to slowly build into that OPMC that you're probably used to from traditional cultivation stories. Um, but I like the fact that he had to grow into it, and he wasn't just as somebody as a troll commented in book 2 review. Well, how come he hasn't challenged the Emperor or something stupid like that? And I'm like, novice going after divine tier, yeah, it's gonna work out well. So, uh, if he's an after action reporter, the real question is we should ask Greg how long the story will take. I mean, you're not wrong, Paul, but they only give it to me in dribs and drabs. Oh, Greg did leave. He had a headache. That's true. It was just up there. I just read it. When Binding Words ends, we need some sort of celebration awake. I mean, I personally have a celebration every time a series ends, or honestly, more of a wake. This is, a chunk of my life, years of my life that I devoted to these characters. Um, so I always have that bit of melancholy, joy, sadness of it's done, but it's done. So I appreciate and applaud your policy of giving your series a soft ending rather than just dropping them. It's because I hate that as a reader myself, Rob. There's nothing to me. There's nothing worse than you know, book 2, book 3. It looked really good, and then you never get the next book. I understand it might mean a loss, and honestly, Dungeon Walkers 4 will probably mean a loss to me in total, after all bills are accounted for. But at the same time, I can't not do it because I hate it when I am a reader and it happens. It's also one of the reasons why I'm like, and I'm going to slot AL1 in here because I'll probably short schedule in Dungeon Walkers. Like AL will run like it should, and then I'll do Dungeon Walkers, and then I'll have a shorter time before I then launch a Lux Voice to help offset the fact that I know that it's gonna hurt me. So being ahead right now is an amazing thing. It's also why I'm not like I'm totally gonna drop AL really quick because I want the normal time to flow so I can use it to help shore up Dungeon Walkers. I do try to act like I know what I'm doing occasionally. Uh, is it easy to pick up the next chapter to write, or do you have to go back and reread to get the flow? Chapters I never have to go back and reread. If I'm solidly in a book, I'm good. It was different when I was writing antecedents and I think it was Binding Words 9, Binding Words. I don't remember. At the beginning of the year when I was writing, and I was also doing that. I actually was able to mostly keep fairly good on track, but when I was flipping back and forth between stories, it was a little harder, but I was good with it. Before I go back and write the next book in like Binding Words, when I sit down to go to write the next Binding Words, I will stop and read Binding Words 9 to get my head into the proper space to write Binding Words 10. So I'm fully seated back in characters, storylines, everything else. But I normally don't have to go back and reread a chapter before I write the next one. Would you believe that Microsoft Teams takes over your speakers and mutes everything but your Teams meeting? Yeah, I would believe that far. I would totally believe that. And I understand that would be probably why you then switch over to another device. I have no problem thinking that Microsoft is an infectious disease because half the time it is. Yeah, I say from while I'm using all the Microsoft stuff in the world and I write using Microsoft Word. I understand that. At the same time, their programming of how things work, where they decide we're doing this and you don't get a choice in it, kind of annoying. When Windows decides it's going to update, fuck you, you don't get a choice anymore, and it breaks things that you're used to using and want to keep using. Kind of annoying, but I mean, what are you gonna do? The chat is still organic and not just random questions to stay ahead, right, Paul? I really appreciate that out of you guys. Did he already answer the question about art books? I didn't see a question about art books, Xerox. I missed it. Whether or not I'd ever put an all the art like into a book so you could have all the artwork. I mean, probably not. Um, art books are very hit or miss, honestly. So yeah, but the art I would use would be art that I own. So, but it would still be something else I have to look at instead of doing more chapters. So I will probably not. At some point, will I be like, "Hey, person, let me pay you to put this together so I can then turn around and do this"? Yeah, maybe. Anytime soon? Nah. Hmm? Like the cookbook. Yes, my girlfriends are still on board with trying to catalog all my recipes and try to make that work. Will it be anytime soon? Probably not. But they're still thinking about doing it. So, woo! I scrolled too far. Let me scroll back up. More books, bigger audience, more people to flock here. See the man, the myth, the legend. I am not a myth or a legend. Definitely a man though. Ogre. Does she make more with royalty share? Well, of course. And I know authors who have derided me for using royalty share, and I say to them, I think Andy is worth it, and it doesn't matter. I don't look to make a major profit on audiobooks. They're there for the people who just can't read. I still make money on audiobooks. Could I make more if I didn't royalty share? Yes. Do I care about doing that? No. Do I care about Andy recording my books because then I get the fullness of story that I want? Yes. So I just look at those people and go, okay, bro. But do you even audio, bro? Do you? Do you? RE buying the book the same month. That seems like it's punishing the authors. It is, but that's how Amazon works. Look, I got to the recap, the recap, the recaps. Yay! Uh, past thought comments. None of mine are ever getting read again. See, I just proved you wrong, Evangel. Just proved you wrong. Uh, can you purchase magic in a shop in Apocalypse Gates? I mean, Xerox, it gets answered. Get all the way through book 8, and you'll have answers to Apocalypse Gates that you ask. I want more books like your Apocalypse Gates series. It was so well done, and your MC is relatable. Um, I understand, but I mean, I write the stories that come to me. I don't set out to specifically write one thing at this point. I did for Apocalypse Gates. I'm like, I totally want kind of like an asshole anti-hero character, and I did that. Should we make a side pool on how Skippy dies? I mean, a, totally a Deadpool. It is called a Deadpool. I mean, that's kind of the joke around Deadpool's name, but or one of them. So I mean, yeah, if you guys want to like jump on Discord and like general chat or the All Shinofin chat and try to come up with a how does the next Skippy die, that would be funny. Uh, I could set that up on Facebook easily enough because I could set up a poll and then let other people add to the different options. Hmm. I might I might do that. I might do that, but it would be after AR publishes when I start to then gear up for, hey, there's a new series coming out. I wouldn't do that right now. I would like to wait. Do you think you could redeem the Skippy name in a future series? Could I? Yes. Will I? Probably not. He's got to deal with his crew to never. He's got to deal with his crew to never let Skippy live. That's what you get, Skippy. That's what you get for being a dick in Alpha World. Learn your lesson. Oh, that's really magic field, a person. Okay. Oh, there was there another band? Did I miss the third? I probably missed the third. People are talking about it, but I didn't see it.
No, you had mentioned it at that point.
Ah.
I said
Keep watching. I started watching Chainsaw Man anime. The character uses blood to make weapons. I actually haven't watched that anime yet. I'm probably going to at some point though. So, in Luck's voice, Doc seems to be setting up roots in Ferdin. Are he and his family going to stay there, using it as a base of operations, or are they going to move from town to town? I mean, he has a lot of work to do, Rom. I mean, he needs some bases. I mean, technically, he had a base in Deep Gulch. He has, family, friends down there. He has a solid thing with his mine in the area. And then they still went to Ferdin. It's a city. There's more connections. They're making friends, families, enemies. Um, will he move on from there? Yeah, it's always the thought. Of course, Luck's voice is in one of those places where I'm like, I really hope the next book or two does better. Um, Otherwise, it'll be yet another series I'll have to soft end. So it was a western though. For me, it was a very risky. I don't know how well this series is going to do because westerns are so hit or miss. So, uh, get 7 bands and you get a perma ban. I thought the extra light was just because of that. Nope, I have ring lights. The other thing, I think you sort of addressed this in the new novice tournament. I don't remember names, but she shoved air into the girl's lung, not pulling out. Possibly an external effect until much higher power. I mean, kind of far, but at the same time, I could clean it up to make the understanding better. Drew Hayes as a character, Morgan Le Fay, the Blood Witch, in his Villains Code series. Well, I mean, the name Morgan Le Fay has been around a very long time. The fact that somebody is using that name and as a Blood Witch is appropriately fitting. Uh, I can see that. I guess there should be more open world quests for the players to grind so they don't run out of game content once they run out of dungeons. Running out of dungeons take a time. I mean, Stern and company haven't exactly been slow about what they've been doing. Well, still trying to maintain some semblance of not killing them, burning themselves out. And so there's a few or possibly even several tiers of dungeons that haven't even been discovered yet. So, yeah. Uh, yes, she's going to play both versions because she is a true Pokemon fan. Uh, did you ever play Warcraft 2? Possibly Xerox, but if I did, it was a long time ago. And my memory is kind of shit, I'll be honest. No, my raw text Xerox. I didn't say my writing was bad. I said my raw text is atrocious, and it is. There's a difference there. Basically, raw text. It's for the first draft copy of a book. My raw text is atrocious, and I know it is. The story is solid, but sentences need to be cleaned up so they're understandable. Question for a mod that know DJ fairly well: would it be okay to post about a paradox that I might have found, or should I send it by private message? Tanner, if you're the other person I think that mentioned having found a paradox on Facebook, you can always message me there. I'll address it with you. I'm really curious about what you think you have found. There is a chance you found a loophole that I've missed, but there's also the chance that I know exactly what you found, and I'll be like, I can't say. So, but if you want to message me on Facebook or on Discord or something, because you don't want to like just slap it out there in front of everyone, it's totally fine. Feel free to message me. Did the revised cover of Binding Words 1 have any noticeable sales bump? No, I didn't expect it to, though. I just wanted something that when I mentioned at a convention, oh, you might really enjoy my series Binding Words, so that was a cover people would look at and go, I'm interested. Let me get this. Because I heard a lot of, yeah, I waited like half a year before I read Binding Words 1 because the cover put me off so much. So, the minimalist covers of Binding Words books are interesting, but I've always felt it makes them easy to overlook for a new reader. Well, Binding Words 1 doesn't actually have the minimalist cover. Aether's Revival has more of a minimalist cover, honestly. Um, Binding Words covers have been not as sharp as they could have been, which is why I went ahead and went, okay, I'm going to slap the new cover on this to hopefully get more people pulled into it. So, they catch my eye because they aren't exactly the mostly nude sexy woman in a pose. I mean, and I stay away from that for a reason because my books aren't, hey, new hot chick of the month, let's bang her and get on to the next one. So Daniel won't ever leave us hanging. There is always satisfaction. Paul, if you ask people, that's not exactly true. I have left people on cliffhangers that they have not liked before. So you can't Xerox. I'm not gonna go through the hassle of trying to do a Kickstarter and everything else. I just won't do it. Um, I know exactly what my bills are. I know exactly what I'm probably gonna make on it, and I know where things are gonna break, and that's fine. Hypothetically, what if the next Dungeon Walker book does a 180 and takes off? Um, cool, but it wouldn't. I find it hard to believe that it would do such a 180 that I'd be like, oh, I totally need to keep this series going now. Honestly, guys, I know where the numbers are, and the chances that happening are so minimal. It's not funny. Um, so what would happen if it did? I can't say because I can't actually see it ever happening. Will there be a slight uptick in sales? Possibly. It was with Apocalypse Gates 8. Apocalypse Gates books 4, 5, 6, and 7, the graph was like doop, 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 and then 8 came out and it came up, and that was nice because well, it's the end of a long series. People who were like, yeah, I forgot about it or I, didn't care about it, finally went back and were like, oh, the series has ended. I'll jump on this now. Um, but for Dungeon Walkers, it won't happen. And even though Apocalypse Gates 8 bumped back up and was solid, it wasn't solid enough for me to go, oh, I'm totally going to decide to write Apocalypse Gates 9. So when you see an uptick in sales in Binding Words 4, it's because we're helping offset the loss. I mean, that's far enough, Archeron. I'll take that. Uh, see, this is what happens when you skip comments. You miss Xerox questions about the art book. I mean, fair. Sorry, I was just helping out my mom and her car started and I missed it. It's fine. I'm gonna ignore that pun. I'm gonna ignore it. I'm not even gonna touch it. I'd teach you a lesson. I was just teasing because no, I'm just skipping past normal, like, yeah, I totally agree type comments. It's not like I'm like, I'm just going to skip all these comments. Except for Evangel. I'm totally just skipping his because reasons. Have you ever considered doing a multi platform, not just Amazon? My physical books are set at where they are, so they can be everywhere outside of Amazon. You can go into a Barnes and Noble and be like, "Hey, there's this book I want to buy," and buy one from them. Um, and the percentage cut of being non-Amazon exclusive, guys, is like from 70% down to 30%. And if you're non-Amazon exclusive, you can't be in Kindle Unlimited. So once again, there's a huge drop off then in things. So have I ever considered it? Yeah. Will I do it right now? No. Sammy. Yeah, you can't be anywhere other if you're using Kindle Unlimited. That's how they hook people in. And if I didn't make more like 70% of my income from Kindle Unlimited, I'd probably be like, oh, I'll totally try that out. I need a couple of authors. I read that a couple of authors that are Google. Yeah, but you can't. Your book can't be other places if you're in Kindle Unlimited. You could totally be other places, but it limits what and where and everything else. A short story compilation of all the Skippy deaths from Skippy's POV. I mean, could I? Yeah, but it's like, yeah, if I was going to do that, I'd much rather do a short story collection of other characters from Aether's Revival. Which, once again, if I'm doing that, I'm either giving up my free time, which is precious to me, or I'm not writing the next book of a series, which I think you guys would kill me for. So, hey. Uh, I think Lux Voice 5 may have not as sold as well because there weren't as many real dramatic using my powers moments. It seemed more like an established book. I mean, possibly Rob. Um, I'm not sold on that though, because there's always, hey, we've shifted power bases. There's going to be a build up to it. Um, and normally that wouldn't happen in book 5. If a drop off was going to happen, it would happen in book 6 because people would still flow from book 4 to book 5. For book 5 to drop off, it's because people know he was leaving Deep Gulch and we're like, I'm kind of done with this series. So it's kind of a wait and see for me at this point, which I honestly hate. It kicks my anxiety up. I was looking forward to seeing how Stern uses the knowledge and gear he's been given to catch up. Well, you actually get to see that some in this book, Archon, so it's fine. You'll see that in Dungeon Walkers 4. The Twitch TV chat interface is flaky as hell. Well, I mean, Rob, you shouldn't be too terribly surprised by that. Uh, where was I? Okay. What is the percentage of KU income that you get? I mean, all your fans are buying all of your books. That's what is the percentage of KU income? I mean, all of your no Xerox. 70% of my income comes from KU. It would take all of those people going over and buying the book instead, and it does not happen. There was a 6 month stint, I want to say, a couple years back, where I was not on KU. It was when Amazon was doing one of their major purges of things, and I was like, I don't want to risk things, and I stepped away from it. And the transfer from KU to purchases was not good. So mm, I stay where I am and do what I do at this point because of where things are. And no, we had one that hit 3 hours before, Paul. It was just short of 3 hours, I want to say. But this is one of the longest. Normally it's an hour to 2 hours, and somewhere in there it stops. But that's okay because I've reached the end of your comments and we're at 2.5 hours. So I'm going to finish up these last few questions, and then I'm going to go get lunch and collapse. So last few questions, guys, and then we're going to wrap things up. I do appreciate anybody who's been here since the start, like Xerox. I really appreciate you taking all this time out of your day to listen to me do this. I don't even have words. Tanner, if your question was the what about the paradox thing you might have found, message me on Facebook or Discord and we'll talk about it. Do I have another Paul? I have so many different ideas in my head. It would not be hard to come up with another one. So, uh, I also have a suggestion, but it's up to him if he wants to do it. I probably will not take the suggestion, Tanner. My stories are their own beasts, so I don't really do the oh, I'm totally going to use that. My stories go wherever they will. But I would like to know what you think you found as a paradox. You can have the book for sale before it goes live on Amazon, but then you have to take it down to be on KU. Yeah, I mean, could I do that? I know authors who have. I know authors who've only put a single book of a series up on KU just to try to drag people into then continuing on with buys. And there's obvious ups and downs to everything, and it's mostly downs. All right, so I want to thank you all for coming. You're not, Evangel. This is the only time you get to bug me, and then I ignore your questions. It's amazing. Um, so I want to thank you guys all for coming. I've caught up on all the questions. Has there ever been expressed interest? Nobody, Netflix and Amazon, and none of them have come to me and said, "Hey, we really like to buy your property." If they do, I will be more than happy to talk to them. But honestly, I never expect it to happen. So thank you all for coming. I'm gonna click over here to where my end button is, and we will see you again in December, probably the 16th. I will post days and times near the beginning of December so people know so they can make plans for stuff. I will probably do the 16th at a late date, but until I have written it down, like always, it's up in the air and we don't know. So until December, guys, have a good one. Bye.